understand you. If there's a problem with how you're viewing money.
So guys, karibuni sana. I'm hoping I'm hoping, I have to say I'm glad and I'm hoping at the same time. I'm hoping you guys are okay. We went a bit quiet because we knew that if we attempt to release any videos during this election time, itapitwa tu na waves the election. So we went a bit quiet.
This video will just be opaque on their feeds.
Yeah, it will be yeah, we knew if we released any videos during election time, itakuwa opaque. So tukasema I'll let the election dust die down kidogo and then we come back. So we are back.
I'm happy.
Are you though?
I was telling you, I know we're going to share it in the video, but right now is when that I'm feeling as though I'm starting out marriage.
Yeah.
Like we are feeling the flesh aspect of marriage. The others was just, it's like
we were perusing.
Yeah, it's like there's something called marriage. Oh, we are doing this thing called marriage right now. So I feel the weight. Let me say the weight of the flesh of exactly what it means to be married.
We are very excited to share with you what we've learned in our 6th years, or rather at the conclusion of our 6th year, now starting the 7th year.
Yeah.
Now, marriage is a lot of things, and in 6 years you can learn a lot of things. But I just have 2 things to share with you. I don't know if it will, Ata to discuss, so I don't know if it's the same lessons for her. So, marriage is a realm. I'll try to explain it as simple as possible because people can understand realms to be different things. It's like an environment, it's like an atmosphere. It's like a different level or atmosphere of living. For example, there's the realm of the earth, and then there's the realm of the waters, and then there's the realm of the air. All right? So for me to survive in the water, there are specific apparatus that I need to have for the water to be able to, handle me. Otherwise, nikiruka tu kwa maji and I'm not a fish, I'm going to drown because the water is a different realm. It's a different environment. It's a different atmosphere. All right? That's exactly how marriage is. The moment you walk into marriage, that's why we say entering marriage. Okay? The moment you get married, you've entered into a realm, a different atmosphere or a different plane of existence. There are certain rules that will apply to you now that you're married that was not applying to you when you're single. Now, realms have rules, or realms have laws, or realms have principles. Just the same way in water, there are certain principles that govern water. And for anybody to survive in the water, you must adapt to those principles. If you take a fish and you put it on land, it's going to dry because the land has its own rules. It has its own principles.
The fish is going to dry.
I said drown.
Dry.
It's going to dry. What I've learned about the realm of marriage is that this realm is conscious, alive, for lack of a better word. It's conscious, it's knowing. Now the tricky thing about that is, let's say I lie to Soila, let's say I earn $1 million Kenya shillings per month. But I'm a stingy guy, so I don't want to tell my wife that I earn that much money. Because you know what, I'll like, oh babe, buy me for this, buy me this for me, do this for me. And me, I'm stingy, I don't want to do things for her. So I come and tell her, hey babe, me, I just earn some 80K, that's all I get in a month. Now she doesn't even need to know that I'm telling her a lie. But guess what? The marriage knows. The realm is aware that I'm lying to my wife. If a spouse starts cheating on their partner, her spouse or his spouse doesn't even need to know that she's cheating. But the realm, the marriage is aware of what she's doing. It's like how Proverbs describes wisdom like it's a person. So marriage has the same thing. It is aware. If I keep doing things behind Soila's back, Nasimwambi, she's even, she's not offended because, they say what you don't know doesn't hurt.
Kill you, doesn't hurt you.
So as far as she knows, as far as she knows, she's operating under that place where we say ignorance is bliss. So she's having a good time because she doesn't know the shady things that I'm doing. But the marriage knows. So what happens is that the marriage will begin to lock both of us out from enjoying the bliss and the satisfaction that the marriage is supposed to accord you. By locking out, I don't necessarily mean that you get a divorce. Sometimes divorce is what happens. But sometimes you may not even get a divorce. But there is a satisfaction and a bliss that the two of you are not able to experience. Because somebody is breaking the laws. Somebody is doing things behind their partner's back, and the marriage can see what you're doing. All right? So you might be able to hide things from your spouse, but not from the marriage. And the more you keep on doing it, the more it becomes a culture. The marriage now is going to shut you off. And that's the problem. One person messes up, both of you suffer. That's the problem of marriage. All right? So it's very important for both of you to be one in thought, one in mind, one in purpose and vision. It doesn't mean that you lose your mind and now you're a slave to this person's mind, but it just means you're heading the same direction. All right? That is the principle of oneness. It is the principle of unity. So when the marriage begins to sense that these people are united, it begins to release certain blessings, certain bliss and satisfactions that the marriage has for you because of that principle. So your homework is to figure out this thing called marriage. What are the principles that we are supposed to walk in so that we may attain to that bliss, to that satisfaction? Which leads me to the second thing that I've learned about these past 6 years. Marriage is in levels. We're saying marriage is a realm. This realm is in levels. There are levels of growth. Now the problem with our generation, with millennials, we get married the first year and we want to enjoy the satisfaction of people who've been married for 50 years. It doesn't happen that way. Those people who have been married for 50 years, there are certain things that they've had to go through for that bliss to make sense at that level. There are certain principles they've had to apply. There are certain seeds they've had to sow. So that by the time they are clocking their 40th, 50 years, now they are able to reap because they planted something. Now the problem with the millennials and Gen Z is we want to get married and in 2 years we think we're on the same level with people who've been married that long. It simply doesn't work that way. And even for those who've been married in 40 years, it's not an issue of time. It's an issue of this, every level that you cross, what principle do you learn at that level? Because there are things about marriage, my friend. At 6 years, we can't learn it. Even if you tell us, it will be head knowledge. But at 20 years, all of a sudden there'll be a fresh revelation about, oh, this is what they meant when they say love one another. The love we have for each other right now is in accordance to our level. When we get to 20 years, it will be a different level of love, all right? Right now, we walk in certain levels of sacrifice. But when you get to 30 years marriage, it's a different level of sacrifice. And each level will accord you the bliss and the satisfaction of that level. So what I just want to say in a nutshell with that is marriage is a realm. This realm has principles that we need to learn. Failure to which the marriage begins to lock you out from the satisfaction and the blessing that those principles are supposed to have for you. Because at the end of every principle, there's a promise. And marriage is in levels. So with each year that you cross, with each year that you pass, sit down with your spouse and ask yourself, ni nini tumelan? What have we learned at this level? So in as much as you're growing in different levels, different years, there's that growth also that happens by how quick you learn and apply certain principles.
Yeah.
Mkijifanya vichwa ngumu, mnasumbuana hapa. Whatever you guys are supposed to have left in your first year, that's still the level that you have in your 5th years because you are refusing to grow. So it is to your advantage that you learn the lessons as quick as possible so that when the next level comes, you are still not doing what you are doing 2 years ago.
You're not still struggling with 0.01%.
Violence.
In your 20th year, at least understand mathematics,
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Soila, tukipata backlash, sita kutetea.
I know, right? Yo, I mean,
leave you there with your state capture.
All right, for me, marriage takes a lot of intentions. You have to be very intentional to enjoy the bliss of marriage. Now, with whatever that Curtis had shared in regards to, let's say, being unfaithful behind your spouse's back, for you to come to the place whereby now the marriage can again unlock the blessings that you're meant to be, you have to come to the place of confessing your sin one to another. You see, when you confess your sin one to another, then there's agreement, and then the marriage now is aware that both parties are in the same level of agreement. So there has to be a bit of intentionality when it comes to doing marriage. Number one, you be intentional about loving your spouse, no matter what they have done to you. You say, I still choose. It's called choosing. I chose to love you. It's the same way when you go outside there and you see so many pretty men, so many pretty women.
Pretty men.
And you're like, oh God, but I chose to love Curtis. I chose to love Soila. So it's continuous choosing of your spouse. When it comes to selfishness and being selfless, you choose to be selfless. You're like, I'd have loved to keep this 1 million for myself, but I'm going to be open about it and share it with my wife. If anything, I'm going to be so selfless and understand what are her needs or his needs, and I'm going to meet them first before I meet mine. You guys, if you you are open in your relationship and you talk and do stock taking of your marriage every month of every week, depending on the situation of your marriage. Because I remember when we got children, we had to do stock taking every week because of how intense things were. But now we can afford to do stock taking every month. Peradventure, something happens and we are not really understanding or we are not in agreement, we'll call one another for a meeting and say, honestly, what you did 3 days ago was not really pleasant, was not nice, and I think we should need to change because it's affecting my work right now, because I'm still thinking about it. And then you have already opened up a chance for vulnerability, a moment for forgiveness, a moment for being open and all that. So there has to be a lot of intentionality when it comes to doing marriage for you to know where there are gaps and where you're doing well. It does not, you just can't say we are winging it in marriage. You can't wing it in marriage.
Because that thing of winging it really
Let's
bugs
get married
me.
to wing it.
It really
You
bugs me when
cannot wing
people
it
talk
in
like
marriage.
that, because
it's lack of responsibilities. It's lack of
is,
taking responsibilities.
because I've had people say, why go for premarital class? You know, see,
we'll wing it.
Yeah, the premarital class hakuna kitu mnalearn. You learn in marriage. Now that may be true, okay, but you see, you learn a lot in marriage through the actual experience. But premarital class equips you.
Yeah.
It sort of adjusts how you think, so that even when the issues start coming up in marriage, there's already the equipment in your mindset that was done during premarital class.
I was sharing this with the, I hope Ilmaniza, I was sharing this with the Table 40 women session, that the same way you prepare to go to school for you to have a job, you know, you are trained in a specific area of professionalism. That seriousness that you take your professionalism with, such that you can go take training, or even if you're in a managerial position, you still go for refresher courses. It's just to refresh you, for you to be productive in your area of work. What about marriage? Something that is, they've said there's no close relationship like that of a husband and wife. Not even that of a mother and child. This one is very close. And they equate it to the relationship between Christ and the church. So with that kind of relationship and that level of vulnerability and of giving of yourself to the other person, I mean, you need some level of equipping. And premarital, that's what it does. It equips you for the season that you're going to walk into.
And it doesn't stop at premarital.
It doesn't.
Even
It's
after
post-marital.
Always seek for understanding, or always seek for knowledge. You know, put yourself in a community of people who are like-minded.
Exactly.
With marriage, it's a forever learning thing.
Exactly.
3 months of premarital.
I'm done. I'm 50 years married. I cannot do any more of learning. I have done enough. If anything, new young people will come and learn from me.
Yeah.
That's the wrong mindset. Before you know it, you'll just start seeing cracks in your own relationship, and things are just dropping into those cracks. You don't address them, and then they come and bite you later on. You can sit down and look at somebody else's marriage, like they are doing it so well. You know, I like their marriage, but you're only seeing a reel of their relationship. There's so much they are dealing with behind back doors. Yes, the arguments that they're having and how they go about reconciling during conflict. There's all those things that we never get to see. We just enjoy the bliss that we see of people on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and all that. And we never sit down to ask ourselves, how did they get there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of community behind people. Like for myself and Curtis, there's a lot of community behind us. We just don't do marriage between me and Curtis. We have accountability friends around us. We have a church. We have a spiritual father that we go and answer. Not really answer. We don't answer to, but we're just accountable to. You know, there's free entrance with our friends. We're like, hey, this season, manze, it has been tough. How do you guys maneuver this? If you haven't, how do you go about this? You know, your pastor is open to even praying with you in matters that you don't even understand. We came out of we are still coming out of a very tough season from the beginning of this year, that myself and Curtis, I remember when we had to take time to pray every night. I know, I don't even know why I'm saying this, but probably it will help you. No matter, I don't know what season you're in, but we had to meet here.
It was an opaque season.
It was like we are trying to understand what's happening. And it felt like it's only myself and Curtis who will unlock this thing. They cannot unlock it for us. They're just guiding us. We are both players in this field. You know, he needs my input, I need his input for us to figure out the way forward here, such that by the time we are facing, let's say, a financial constraint next week, at least we had this conversation last week and we understand how to maneuver it. It's not again another place of blame game. You are not paying.
That's what I wanted
enough.
to say. Because usually when things are not going well in marriage, it's human nature to blame something or someone. So unfortunately, people blame their spouses.
It's true.
Ever since I married you, I noticed.
Nimeponda.
Yeah, so what she's saying is very true. Understanding that you guys are in it together. Just having that heart of, okay, how do we solve this thing? How do we get through this?
Yeah, I think the other thing is just to learn how to differentiate between externalities and internal matters. Such that when, let's say, with a financial constraint, the problem is not Curtis, the problem is not me. You have to come to that place. You just try and figure out, okay, the problem is finances. What are we doing wrong with finances that is not adding up?
But sometimes the problem can be the individuals.
How?
Your mindset towards, for now, you're using finances as an example. Maybe you have a mindset towards finances that is making you guys constantly broke.
But why is that mindset operating? Because you guys have not taken time to unpack and unlock or address the matter of finances. I think your mindset of finances is 1, 2, 3. So you see, the problem is not really you.
It is your mindset.
It's your mindset. So that I am not.
Why are you here?
So
my mind is here.
So what I'm trying to address
It's
is
supposed to be putting here. Saying
you.
You
know.
Now do it again.
Mammon should not control you. Okay? It's here. You know, I don't see it can get to a place where I don't see you as a problem, Curtis. Let's figure out. I think it can even be our problem here now. You are not the problem. There's an external aspect of money that we need to understand. We need to understand this thing called wealth. I don't need to understand you really, but I need to understand this. Okay, there's also a place of understanding.
Okay, for me, when I say the problem is you, I'm talking about the aspect of responsibility. Not you as a person, all right? Not that he as a human being uko na shida. But it is in you. The power is in your hands.
Yes.
To take responsibility and do what you need to do, learn what you need to learn.
Exactly. So that's
because if you don't see it that way, you'll keep thinking your answer is uko nje. I need someone out there to do something. Ndio nitoke kwa hii issue. Yet it is just you who needs to make a decision and make it a lifestyle. And you shift.
But isn't that a team player kind of thing? If I'm married to you, I understand you. I know you. Okay, there is a level of knowing you and understanding you. So stop. Okay, babe, why are you like this?
I'm not saying anything.
You are smiling badly.
Because you're so passionate.
Yes, because I understand you. If there's a problem with how you're viewing money.
Now if you come to my face like this, what are you expecting?
I don't know. For me, what I'm just trying to say is there are external things that we have to learn to keep them external. And there are internal things which are meant to be internal. We differentiate between, you see now when you're having a problem, you are not the problem, I'm not the problem. We face the problem. And that's what I'm trying to bring on board. Those are the 2 lessons for me that I've learned. One, just understand what's external and what's internal. Like, it allows you to guard your marriage, guard your partner, and guard yourself. And
the other thing, when Soila is talking about bliss, you don't get married looking for bliss. Bliss is an outcome of the principles that you're applying, of the work that you are doing. So don't get married. I'm looking for happiness. I just want to get married. No. Happiness is a byproduct. Actually, leave even happiness. Happiness is on the low bar. Joy.
Happiness. Joy. The never ending. Yes.
Joy. And joy is a factor of the principles that you are walking in, the seeds that you are sowing, the sacrifices you're making.
Oh yeah.
That's what brings joy after.
Oh
but when you get into it and you want to eat joy as the first thing, mutasumbuana. Yeah, so in a nutshell, that's it. So like, comment, share, subscribe. Please tell your neighbors, to tell their friends, to tell their relatives, to tell their colleagues.
But then your comments are really nice. I think you guys really enjoyed Soft Landing. You've said it was very nice, genuine and all that. I mean, that's what we want to serve you guys. Yeah. Subscribe, guys.
Subscribe. Bye.